Welcome to Dragonfly Trading. Happy New Year, everyone. Today's video is going to be on Bitcoin. We have a lot to talk about. We closed a year candle, 9-month candle, 6-month candle, all the way down. I know that, a lot of people are afraid right now. They're afraid, that Bitcoin's going to crash and what that may mean. Will we go into a bear market? You have all these worries and questions in your mind. I used to be like that. I used to be very fearful and not have any clue where the market was going until I finally learned Elliott Wave and I built the system that I have now. So with that said, if you would like to change your future, not be one of the 90% that fail, because I can tell you now that 90% fail. They do, being a full-time trader, because they jump around and they don't ever just stick to one thing. Okay, whether it's my system or it's someone else's system, you have to stick to something and stop jumping around. So if you're interested in mine, go to my website, pick the plan that you want, and we would love to have you, because I want to see people make the New Year's resolution that they're going to stop jumping around. Because I know what it felt like for me, and I know that I don't want it to feel like that for you, because I do care about all of you out there. All right, I'm done with my little speech. Okay, Bitcoin. Now I'm on the index chart. Okay, this is like the history of Bitcoin. I'm not on any exchange per se. I thought this was the best chart to take a look at this. So we closed a 12-month candle. This is it right here. Now, some people would call this a hammer candle or inverted hammer. Yeah, it's an inverted hammer. Okay, but it's not the most bearish candle in the world. All right, we definitely held the previous high and pushed upwards. Okay, but it is somewhat of a inverted hammer. Moving down to the 9-month. It's a bearish candle, but it's not the ugliest bearish candle in the world. It's definitely, I guess you could call it a shooting star, but really a shooting star should have a much bigger wick. Okay, but it does have a bigger wick than body, 100% on that fact. Okay, 6 months, same thing. I'd call that one neutral. 3 months, same type of candle we had at 9 months. Okay, it's got a much bigger wick than it does body. So on the bullish to bearish side, it's a bearish candle, if you had to pick one. And then the monthly, it's a bearish candle. Okay. So with that said, let's talk about some other things. Okay. And I'm going to go to the 3-day. I'm going to pull this in. All right. So everybody is kind of talking about this Gaussian channel. Okay. Let's talk about the Gaussian channel. And let's go to the 4-day. Basically, when we enter it, okay, there's no doubt that we stay in it for a little while. And it seems like when we enter it, we end up in a bear market. We entered it here, we ended up in a bear market. We entered it here, we ended up in a bear market. We entered it over here. We ended up in a bear market. Same over here. Okay. But on the 4-day, we entered it here. We were able to push out, and now we've entered it again. So with that said, how much weight does this really have? I don't know, but everybody's talking about it. Let's move to the 3-day. 3-day is the same thing. I wouldn't call this little dippity dip here a bear market. And we definitely entered it and came out the bottom. Okay. Does it definitely mean that we're going to be in a bear market? I can't necessarily say that because of what we did right here. So maybe times of Bitcoin are changing. Okay, we're definitely going into new times here. All right, so that's really all I wanted to say about the Gaussian channel. It's really, it's just a channel. It's, you know, something we find support on, obviously. We didn't find any support on it here. We just went through it and came out. So what weight it really has, I'm not putting much on it myself, okay? But it is obviously good when we get out of it. And I would say that it's probably based on some moving averages, not the 200, not the 21, maybe the 50. Pretty close. Maybe it's the 55. Okay. Because we've been playing around with this 50 for a while. All right. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because I know it's like all over YouTube at the moment. Oh my gosh, we're in the Gaussian channel. Okay. Okay. What really matters, guys, and this is what matters to me based on my system, and I'm going to go to the weekly here. Is the bullish and bearish ranges. That's what matters, okay? Because when we're in an uptrend in a bull market, the weekly trends between 50 and way up into the 90s. You can see the whole time we were in this uptrend, we were trending between 50 and 90s. Okay? We broke through the 50 and we were finding support on 40. It wasn't until we broke through 40 that we had this capitulation dump right here. So what does the weekly need to do? The weekly needs to hold 40. If it doesn't, we're most likely going to break down. How deep we're going to break down, I cannot say. But I'm sure that if we break 40 and we come on down into the below 30, it's probably going to be a big dump like that, or a big dump like that. So on the weekly time frame, we need to watch to see if we can hold the 40. If we do, we have a very good chance that this is just a fourth wave and we get out of here. Okay? Okay. Let's go to the daily and let's talk about the same thing, the bullish and bearish ranges. I'm going to have to pull it in a little bit for you to see it. In the uptrend, we bottomed at 30. We were able to push way up into the 80s. When we came back down, we found support on 40. Okay? That's what gave us the other push up. Now, when we're really ranging, we're ranging between the upper 90s and the 40s. It's the same thing on the daily. When we break through 40 is when we have bad corrections. Right here. Okay, we broke through 40, it got a little ugly. Right here, we broke through 40, it has gotten ugly. Now, right now on the daily, Bitcoin is bouncing off 40. It's trying. And we're going to talk about this. My bias is it could push up higher, but I do have a feeling it's going to get rejected. Now, I could be wrong, and if it pushes up out of here, hooray, let's go. Okay? But let's watch for it to hold 40 and for it definitely to hold 30. Okay? If we push through, we've reset below 30 before, let's just stay out of our wave one. That's really the only thing we need to worry about, is staying out of this potential wave one. Now, I talked about some things in the last video. If you haven't watched it, watch it. I'm not going to go over it this video because it would just be too long. Okay? All right. So, that's what we need to do in RSI. So let's talk about what we're doing here. Okay, so we have a few ideas out there. I have a few ideas myself, and I have a way that I'm leaning. We have a 5-wave potential move here. And 5 waves is always the start or the end of something. In this case here, if this is 5 waves, it's either the end of a 5th or it's a wave 1 of the big 5th to come. Now, we need to think about it both ways. It could be a 5th wave, which means we would be in a much bigger degree 4th over here. Or it's a 1, and all of this correction here could be a 2 until we break the bottom. If we break the bottom, no go. Because a 2 is not allowed to break the bottom of a 1. Okay? So that's still on the table. It's not been invalidated. But we need to consider it both ways. The end of something or potentially the beginning of something. If it's 5 waves. It's very funky looking 5 waves, but there's no invalidations in it. Now the other option is that it was just an ABC. Leading to this being a B wave or an X. Because we have 3 to the downside, we would have 3 to the upside, and then depending on what we do here is whether we'll get 3 or 5 to the downside. Right now, we've bounced off the 618. We lose the 618, the 1-to-1 is our next fib level to watch for. I've talked about it in several videos that when we come down again, that we need to get out of here in 5 waves. If we make 3, we're trending back down. If we don't make 5 waves, if we make 3, we're trending back down. And so it goes until we make 5 waves and get out of here. Okay? Every time we break a low, watch for 5 waves to get out of here. Okay. So let's talk about what are the options here in this leg? So the first one is the bullish option. Now, I'm not particularly leaning this way, but that doesn't mean that I'm correct. I'm not leaning this way because of how long this is taking. But this being a 1, a 2, a 3, 4, 5 is not invalid until we break this wick, sitting at 43.57. Let's see. It's going to be different on every exchange, okay? But the bottom of this wick. So there's still the possibility that this could be a 1. We're making 2. It's just taking a while. And then it's going to surprise us, and it's going to blast out of here in a 5-wave move. If that happens, hoorah, let's get out of here, right? Okay. Let me just take this off. Confuse my own self. All right. The bearish option is that we are creating what's called a 1-2, 1-2. Okay. This means we're coming down deep with a 5-wave move. And this would be a 3-wave A, 3-wave B, and then we'd come down deep with 5. How deep this will come, I cannot say. But projecting it out, right as it stands, we're looking at around this level. Around 24,000. If it's the 1-2, 1-2. Now, if we break this red line right here, sitting at 59,400, top of this 2, 1-2, 1-2 comes off the table. Because why it's not this line and it's this line is because this 2 can come higher. It just can't break this red line. Okay. And then the last option is that we're making 3 waves here. We're going to make 3 waves in the middle that makes a B. And then we come down for a C, or we come down in 3 waves. Now let's look at that bear option. Let me put it back on here. So let's say our 2 comes higher. What do we need to do here, guys? The higher the B, the more bullish. And if this goes higher and breaks into the red, we can wipe off that ugly 1-2, 1-2 scenario. So we need to break red line. Okay. Definitely need to break red line. If not, we're looking at lower targets. We are. It's just the way it is. Unless the one bullish option is still on the table, and we'll talk about it. Okay. So this is what we're looking at. Now, the reason I'm not leaning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up into the moon is because this is our 1. A 2 does not take this long. It just doesn't. But there's always a chance. Okay? And that we go up for 3, 4, 5 up like that. I'm just not leaning that way because of how long we've been in this range. Okay, if this would have went 1 and then maybe a 3-wave move for 2 and then we went, that would have been more like an impulse wave. But a 2-way over here, It's just not likely. Okay. All right. So in my last video, I talked about white leg. Okay. Now, I am on the index again. I'm not on any Pacific exchange because this seems to give you the most truest price action. Now, here's our options. Talked about white leg in my last video, and I talked about getting white leg. This right here. Because this hit the 618, this can be white leg. This is an option where we have made a three-wave move. It's over here at the 618, and now we're going to be trending, and we're going to break this downside, and we're going to continue this over here. Okay. What else? Well, here's the problem. We are stuck in between this high and this low. We're stuck in this box area. Every time we get down here, like we're going to break it, we bounce. Will we bounce again? Well, we may. We may come down here, hit it again, and bounce. This could go on for a while here still. So what it causes is a bigger inner move. Okay. So right now we've got this. If it just plays around more, this can come down and be further over. And then, this is all the middle part. Then we could potentially get white leg over here and get a spike out of here to the upside that takes us up to the 1-to-1, maybe even the 1.236. But here's the thing, guys. What we need to do here is we need to either break the low of this box or break the high of this box. So we either need to break the low of the box, and then we can get white leg, whether it's a 1 or it ends up being C, okay? Or we need to break the top of the box, okay? Once we do that, it'll end up being a three-wave move, and then we're going to trend down. I'm really leaning that this is going to end up being a three-wave move. It's just very, very, very complex. And the longer it hangs out, the more complex it gets. It just continues to make ABC, ABC, WXY, ABC. Okay. And then the longer it trends sideways, it's just the bigger the correction it makes until we eventually break the high of the box or we finally dump out the bottom of the box. And when we do, we're going to have to see, do we break the bottom of this wick or do we not? Okay. So I hope I explained that well. And that is it, guys. Yeah. We need to break the top or we need to break the bottom. We got to do it or we're not getting out of this box. Which way am I leaning? right now, this is all a corrective move. This whole part here is all a corrective move. Okay? And it's probably going to extend itself. Like this is going to be bigger. I just can't draw it at the moment. Because what we have in here is 3 waves, 3 waves. This is a potential 5 to the downside. Now we're coming up in 3 waves. It's extending it out. This is all looks to me like it's going to be a connector. So there is a very good possibility that we make something like this. So we get 3 waves out of here like this, breaks the high, and then we trend and finally come out of this box. And this whole little thing here in the middle is a connector. If you don't know Elliott Wave and you don't have a solid system, I would not be trying to trade this in this box area. Okay? I would wait for the break of the top, or I would wait for a break of the bottom to make my decision. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was probably a little long. But Happy New Year to everybody, and I hope you like my little headband here today. And if you watched it to the end, let me know what you think about my headband. Okay? Everybody have a great new year, and I'll see you on the next one.